Right. Enough. Enough already. Goodness gracious. So I've put a comment there in the chat window for those of you watching to follow along with. All two of you. And one of those includes me because I've got a window open that's viewing this live stream. So well done the YouTubes. Feral Grandma, you're the other one. Very good. Okay. There we go. So two people are watching now. One of them's me and one of them's you, the Feral Grandma. Good, good. That's awesome. People wonder why I get pissed off. Sick of the nonsense. 3 people. Hurrah. Hello. Good to see you. Good to see you, Grandma. You're one of my favourite people. Or profiles, really, because I really don't know who's behind the profile at all, actually. There we go. There's another one. Oh, look at that. Absolutely rocking in now, aren't we, people? Absolutely rocking in. Well done, YouTubes, as I said, on sending out the notifications. There's now somewhere between 15 and 17 people here, depending on which metric you believe. Absolutely stunning. Incredible, isn't it? Incredible. Anywho, we're here to deal with lame Norton once again. Lame Norton and his lame ideas. Before we crack into that, I've got a bit more time to slag lame Norton off before we actually get started with the debunking of his actual ridiculous nonsense here, since we're waiting for people to roll in. People need to understand a few things about lame Norton. Number one, lame Norton holds a PhD. However, the thing that has granted lame Norton a PhD is a dissertation and some coursework. That is not a PhD. Okay, the institution that has awarded him that has deemed that to be equivalent to and acceptable as a PhD. It fucking isn't. It's a dissertation and some coursework, not a PhD. So, lame Norton, sorry, pal. I will not recognise your PhD as such because it simply isn't of a standard to be one. Secondly, lame Norton claims on the basis of his PhD in human nutrition to know something about human nutrition, despite the fact that his dissertation, the only part of his study that actually was involved with any kind of research of any kind, concerned ratus. We hate Mises to pieces, don't we? And Mises are pieces, and pieces of Mises are not peoples, are they? And any research done on Mises, rats, or anything that are not people has exactly no bearing on people. So, no, lame Norton, you're not an expert in human nutrition. For fuck's sake, lame Norton can't even correctly state the first law of thermodynamics, let alone apply it correctly, as I've shown a number of times, including once on a short on my Fine channel, which is called something similar to, if not exactly, Lame Norton is a Genius. Probably with 3 exclamation marks or whatever. No, Lame Norton is not a genius. Lame Norton is an arrogant, ignorant, ill-educated, hardly educated at all, buffoon of the highest order, and he's not even a decent human being, allegedly, leaving his pregnant wife, allegedly, for another woman at some point. Well, that's not a decent thing to do, is it, kiddies? No, it isn't. Anyway, let's deal with lame Norton's latest ridiculous nonsense. See, Norton and nonsense, same word, isn't it, just about? This video by lame Norton is entitled, get this, New Keto-Sponsored Study Shows High LDL Causes Rapid Plaque Progression. Educational video. I think we're done already, lame Norton, aren't we? We don't really need to investigate any further because there are no studies extant anywhere on this planet, including this one that you're going to talk about here, with the capability to inform us in any way on cause nor effect of anything as that relates to anything else in terms of heart health outcomes in human beings over any period of time whatsoever. So basically all lame Norton is going to do here is give us his rancid, pustulous, excremental, stupid, ignorant, arrogant opinion again. And I'll put him right where he's wrong. Again. Because, well, he doesn't have the balls to come and speak to me face to face. That's right, lame Norton, you're a fucking coward. You're an absolute dickless wonder. Come and face me face to face for a debate-style discussion about any aspect of nutrition and human beings you like, sunshine, any day of the week and twice on Sundays. It'll get great viewer numbers because, well, frankly, for some reason, you've got 400,000 fucking subscribers. Absolutely unbelievable how fucking stupid people are at large to follow someone as ignorant and stupid as you are. So people will roll in for that, because they'll also, any of them that know anything, will know absolutely, lame Norton, that I will tear you 7 new anal orifices without breaking a sweat. I will absolutely fucking wreck you, sunshine, any day of the week. The invitation remains open. And lame Norton wants to say he's not going to debate me because he doesn't think I'm credible. Well, let's find out which one of us is credible, shall we, lame? But before we do that, let's roll through who's in the house, because it was very, very slow in getting started, because, well, it seems like, as usual, 2-tier policing, isn't it? All right, so let's see if YouTube has sent out the invitation. No, they didn't, clearly. The feral grandma was first in the house, followed by John. Well, good to see you, John. Then Nick. Gene, we love us some Gene up in here. Batman is carnival, is he? All right. Yes, good. Let's roll through them. Hello, my friend. Hello, good to see you. Yep. Good morning. Howdy. Yep. All right. And a bunch of other bigots up in the house. All right, good. Hello, all. Please don't make fun of my name. Google required the stuff on the end to give me my first name. Why would anyone make fun of your name? I don't see anything funny there. Does anybody see anything funny there that anybody should laugh at? I don't. You got here as soon as the notification, which clearly was very, very late indeed. Very late. Not good enough. The tube of Yube, the Yube tube. Not remotely anywhere near good enough. Absolute ridiculous fucking nonsense on your part, as usual. You suck. Right, let's carry on. YouTube isn't the only one that sucks mind. The other one that sucks a lot is lame Norton, I suspect. Anyway, that's for another day. Do you love the profanity? Good. Cheers. Hello, Coach Angela. Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. Right. Just put Ted to bed. Which Ted? Not this Ted. He's still here, aren't you, Ted? Yes, I'm still here. I'm twiddling the knobs. Yes, will you go down there and twiddle the knobs? Good boy. Good boy. All right, lame Norton, tell us all about your total, absolute destitution of comprehension of anything remotely scientific whatsoever. Off you go.
Lean mass hyperresponders.
Lean mass hyperresponders are a construct. They're an idea put forward by a software engineer who has similar levels of training in science to what you do, lame Norton, i.e. fucking none whatsoever. So this is the first thing.
Don't have to worry about LDL cholesterol and ApoB. What's up, guys?
Nobody has to worry about either of those things. Nobody whatsoever. There's nothing special about this fallacious, ridiculous construct put forward by a software engineer who knows nothing about science called LMHR, lean mass hyperresponders. It's absolute fucking nonsense. There's nothing special about you folks whatsoever. It's not even a phenotype. It's just a construct, actually. And there is absolutely nobody who needs to worry about either LDL or ApoB whatsoever. That's what the science tells us, if anyone's interested in actual science. There it is. What's next?
Back with another educational video, and this week we are talking about the big release of the lean mass hyperresponder paper that has got a lot of people buzzing because the title...
Because they don't understand science, because that paper had nothing whatsoever to do with science at all. There was no science done in that paper, none at all. It was a ridiculous theological piece, just like the antithetical pieces of ridiculous theological nonsense put forward by the chronically veg-tarded.
Basically implies that ApoB and LDL cholesterol did not matter for plaque progression.
They don't, lame Norton, still, for anybody, whether you're part of or identify as part of this ridiculous non-extant construct or not, in fact, actually.
In people with this phenotype. But
it's not a phenotype, it's a construct put together by a software engineer, still. Nothing to do with science. Who was the software engineer? It's Dave Feldman, for those who don't know. Would love you to delve deeper into the credentials or relevant lack of there regarding most so-called experts. Well, that's the whole thing of my channel. That's what I do here. And I do that partly by pointing to their lack of actual credentials, most people, but mostly by pointing to the ridiculous flaws in all of the ridiculous nonsense, their theological claptrap that they put forward. Stick around if you haven't been here long enough to know that, and I think you probably have, actually, Mr. Beaumont 666. So you should really know better than to make that statement, I would have thought. Anyways, love you anyway. There's nothing you can do about that. Yes. Oh my God, now I can't stop looking. Lols. At what? What are we looking at? Why am I involved in the looking at things? What nonsense is this? Okay, I read it wrong. What did I read wrong? I still love you, even if I did read it wrong. It makes no difference. Anyway, lame. Tell us about lameness.
First, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment for the algorithm.
Yeah, don't do that.
So the LMHR study
is an absolute excremental piece of pseudoscientific sloppy crap put together by some ridiculous turds, all of them. Sorry about that, just the facts.
Was a study put on by people in the lower carb community. Dave Feldman helped fund it through his citizen science project.
Yeah, nothing that Dave Feldman is doing has anything to do with science, still.
But this paper got a lot of attention because
there were some people who quite wrongly have quite a sphere of influence in this community, like Nicky Norwitz with his ridiculous nut-nibbling nonsense, and Dave Feldman, neither one of whom is remotely competent as a scientist at all. And I'm quite frankly sick to fucking death of hearing their names. What's next?
These folks in the LMHR or lean mass hyperresponder, they call it a phenotype, basically have the fault.
Calling something doesn't make it so, does it, lame Norton? I could say I identify as a super intelligent shade of the colour sky blue pink. Does that make it fucking so? No. And LMHR is not a phenotype. What's next?
Following characteristics: normal blood glucose, good insulin.
What is that when it's at home? According to whom, on the basis of what? Normal blood glucose.
Sensitivity,
What is that? That's a construct as well. Insulin sensitivity. Please point me to any company that will sell you an insulin resistance meter that you can take someone's blood with and it measures their insulin resistance directly as a phenomenon, a scientific measurement of something. They don't fucking exist. It's a construct. What's next?
Do not have elevated triglycerides.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
They have good levels of HDL.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
All their blood markers are healthy.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
Except they have very high LDL cholesterol.
And who's to say that's unhealthy in any way, shape or form? Because nobody competent in science would tell you that, because there is no science to support that theological position statement.
I believe to be included, they have to be above 150. And that's a level of LDL cholesterol that by most medical standards is concerning.
Well, who gives two rip-roaring fucks what the medical community finds concerning? I don't. Not remotely. What's next?
And this is...
That's an opinion, isn't it? And opinions, lame Norton, are just like assholes, aren't they, sunshine? And you should know because you're an expert. They're like assholes in that they are full of shit and almost everybody's got one. What's next?
Is a group of people who are also following a low-carb diet. So,
according to whom, on the basis of what? Were these people followed, kept in labs, locked and observed? Or were people's word for what they're eating taken as gospel? For fuck's sake.
There are certain people who on a low-carb diet, their LDL cholesterol shoots up.
LDL is not cholesterol, lame Norton. Never has been, never will be. You ignorant, uneducated, arrogant, offensive fucking buffoon. What's next?
But all their other blood markers are healthy. Now,
according to whom, on the basis of what? Still.
took a long time to recruit for this study, and that is because the inclusion criteria were so strict. They were trying to recruit 100 people, and again, it's hard to find people who have all healthy blood markers.
According to whom, on the basis of what, still?
And only LDL cholesterol is basically elevated. Now,
According to whom, on the basis of what, still?
if we jump to the end,
Should we jump to the end? Yes. Lame what? Should we jump to the end? So that's the thing with papers. Never mind reading the actual fucking investigation that was undertaken and talking about that at all. Let's just jump straight to the end and see what these arrogant, ignorant boys wrote as their opinion of the take-home message of this study, which wasn't even science. Are we seeing a problem here, boys and girls? I hope we are.
in kind of conclusion was that LDL cholesterol and ApoB
LDL is still not cholesterol, lame Norton. Still never will be. Still isn't.
protein did not affect and were not associated with the progression of...
Well, which? Because they're not the same thing, are they? Affect and association are not the same thing. Which was it? Because this study is associative by its very design. Ergo, incapable of informing us in any way on cause nor effect. And yet, the title of your video, Lame Norton, you incompetent, ridiculous little boy, is New Keto-Sponsored Study Shows High LDL Causes Rapid Plaque Progression. Educational video. Are we seeing the problem yet, kiddies? Let me boil it down for you, for those that don't get it yet. Lame Norton is an ignorant shit stain. He's an arrogant, ignorant waste of perfectly good oxygen. He's also a fucking coward of the highest order. Come and face me face to face, sunshine, for a debate-style discussion regarding any aspect of this that you like. And I will fucking wreck you. What's next?
plaque. Okay, so they measured plaque volume and they all...
No, they fucking didn't. No, wrong. So you haven't read the thing. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear. This is exactly my point. No, they fucking didn't.
also measured non-calcium plaque. It's calcified plaque
Well, which? Dickhead? Which?
is more stable.
According to whom? On the basis of what? Dickhead?
Non-calcified plaque tends to be higher risk for...
No, there are no studies that inform us in any way, shape or form on risk. Not one anywhere still. Wrong.
some sort of myocardial infarction, those sorts of things, because
Oh, big words. I'm impressed, Lame Norton.
it's a less stable plaque. So they were
According to whom? On the basis of what?
looking at this plaque progression and attempting to associate it with ApoB or...
Did you hear that word there? Associate. Good. So that precludes any statement about cause nor effect. Doesn't it? Dickhead.
LDL cholesterol, and what they saw
Still not cholesterol. Imbecile.
was there was really no association, and their conclusion was that plaque begets more plaque. Once you have plaque in the...
And that was a completely inappropriate conclusion that they should never have published or made, because their study is utterly, completely, irretrievably incapable of making any prognostic statement of any kind. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is why science should be left to scientists. And Nicky Norwitz, with his nut-nibbling nonsensicalness, is not a fucking scientist. He's a little boy in short pants playing in the sandpit. He's a ridiculous little boy. As are you, Lame Norton.
blood vessels, it causes more plaque to accumulate. Well, there are quite a few people who have already done a takedown or a breakdown of this study, so
Well, so?
I'm not going to pretend like I'm the first. Alan Flanagan did a great breakdown.
Who gives two rip-roaring fucks, and who the fuck is he anyway?
Mike Alberts, Brad Stanfield.
Brad Stanfield? He's not a scientist either, dickwad. He's an MD in New Zealand. Not a very good one, because he's an absolute fucking imbecile. In my humble opinion, even though my opinion is not humble, I'm just saying that.
So these people have done these takedowns. I'm not going to be bringing in anything new, but
That's right, you're not lame, Norton. You absolutely are not.
it's important to point out the people who did this study really beat their chest pretty hard about it.
That's right, and they had absolutely no fucking business doing so. None at all. They also are so utterly lacking in self-awareness that they cannot understand what they've done wrong, or that they should not have done that, not remotely. That is why these idiots ought to fuck right off and stay fucked right off permanently.
Basically, they were trying to say that like it's not associated with heart disease or plaque progression in this population. And first, before we get into the study, it's important to understand the mechanism by how ApoB is atherogenic.
There isn't one established lame Norton. There is no mechanism by which any of the lipoproteins or any subfraction of the lipoproteins is, as you say, atherogenic, meaning the thing that causes atherosclerosis to develop. We're done with that. One of us, by the way, is a cardiovascular pathophysiologist in another life, and it's not you, lame Norton. All right?
ApoB is a protein
made by your body according to a length of DNA encoded for by said DNA, that DNA having survived at least 3,800 million fucking years of both positive and negative selection pressures. Of course we have a protein encoded for in our very DNA that will fucking kill us. You absolute fuck monkey. You ridiculous little boy. What's next?
On essentially non-HDL cholesterol. So VLDLs, LDL, IDLs, they all have an ApoB protein on them, and each particle of these lipoproteins has one ApoB protein.
Yes. So fucking what?
Why is ApoB important?
It's not. Except that it's the very thing that tags those lipoproteins as being of the class that they are and helps to functionally categorize those so that the body knows what to do with them and where. That's why those things have evolved, by the way. They are signals as to what these things are. They're labels.
Well, ApoB is the portion of the lipoprotein that causes the damage to the endothelium.
Absolute fucking rubbish, lame Norton. No, they're not. Wrong.
VLDLs, LDL, IDLs, they can all penetrate the endothelium.
So fucking what? They're supposed to.
And that's not so much a big deal
That's right, because they're fucking supposed to still.
Because just going into the endothelium, if they can pass through, they can pass back out.
Yes.
The problem is ApoB, once it penetrates the endothelium and gets into the intima, it then gets enzymatically modified and retained. So
absolute fucking nonsense. Rubbish. There is a possibility of that occurring under certain circumstances. It is not a fait accompli. You mindless, arrogant, ill-educated, non-educated child.
enzymes act on the ApoB protein, causing...
By the way, those enzymes being proteins encoded for by what again? Oh yes, a length of fucking DNA. You absolutely mindless, pathetic shit stain.
It and the cholesterol and lipids it carries to be deposited there.
Mm.
Once it's deposited there, it recruits inflammation and macrophages.
Absolute fucking nonsense. Once again, complete utter garbage. The only time that inflammatory markers are going to be initiated is if that protein becomes deranged from its native state, lame Norton. This is not a topic that you have any expertise in whatsoever. Neither is human nutrition, pal, because remember your dissertation was about rats, which I find highly appropriate. Anywho, there it is.
And can cause the development of foam cells. And this is what essentially
You see the word can there? Maybe not too.
Causes the progression of plaque.
No, it isn't. It isn't at all, in fact. The plaque progresses because the underlying root etiology of the plaque development is still at play in those people in whom those plaques are developing. And ApoB proteins are not part of that set of etiological constraints causing that to occur. As soon as you do a basic deterministic model, that is unassailably, completely proven. Of course, you probably don't even know what that is, lame Norton, so I'm possibly wasting my breath, as I am clearly wasting my breath suggesting to you, lame Norton, that you front up to me, you fucking cowardly little girl. You pathetic pussy.
Now, they're attempting to say that because of their study in this particular population, you don't really need to worry about it. But these other
You don't need to worry about it in any population. It is not the cause of the disease process. Still.
Researchers brought up some great points. This was registered at clinicaltrials.gov.
So fucking what?
And what's nice about going to clinicaltrials.gov is you can see what the pre-specified primary endpoints were. The primary endpoint was the percent change in non-calcified plaque volume.
According to whom, on the basis of what, a piece of kit, did they use to measure that? Lame Norton. Because obviously that needs talking about if you're going to talk about this study, because there were some problems there. Some big ones.
They did not report that number. In fact,
that's right, which is why, among other reasons, these clowns, nut nibbling Nicky Norwitz, Adrian Soto-Motor, Budoff, who hadn't even read the fucking paper, the senior author who put his so-called credible name at the end of it to make the whole thing seem more credible, hadn't even fucking read it before it was published, and all paid for by Dave Feldman, a software engineer, who should frankly go and do that.
All they said was most people had stable plaque. They did not report the actual number. In fact, they didn't disclose the actual number until they got browbeat on social media about it. Again,
that's right, which is why, among other reasons, little boys like them, playing in the sandpit, pretending to be something they fucking are not, scientists, ought not to be doing that. It's like me claiming to be a gynecologist, no experience, but I'll take a look at it for you. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. Absolutely, utterly fucking ridiculous.
This is your primary outcome you're supposed to be reporting. And why did you bury it? Finally, the lead author on Twitter said, okay, if you must know, it was 18 millimeters as a median. Now, it's important to point this out. He's still not saying what the average increase was, because median is not the same thing as mean. A mean is an average.
And mean is not the same thing as anything except mean either. What's your fucking point? They're all different metrics. And what makes you think the mean is the appropriate metric? Have you seen the data set, lame Norton? No? Okay, good.
Median.
Could you actually do a statistical analysis competently by yourself anyway, lame Norton? Are you in any position, lame Norton, to critique anybody else on their statistical treatment of any data set whatsoever? Perhaps you'd like to come and debate statistical inference with me too, sunshine, while we're there. At which time you'll be left with what Richard Burgess was left with, pretty much, because it's about the same level of understanding that you've got. Oh, I can bench press more than you.
Means the center point number, which leads me to believe that the mean was probably higher than 18, because if it wasn't, they would have told you that number. But I digress.
That's right, you do, and you're also talking about shit you don't know anything about and speculating.
Let's just look at, okay, 18 millimeters on average of plaque increase.
18 millimeters? In which direction? And where exactly? What the purple fuck do you think you're even talking about here, lame Norton? Seriously? You have absolutely not even the most fundamental grasp of the outcome variables that we're talking about here.
How does that stack up against other trials looking at plaque progression? Now, the study's own registered protocol said they expected an increase of 7 millimeters in plaque. They got...
On the basis of what? According to whom? Where did that come from? I could say I expect Bitcoin to go to $10 billion tomorrow. That'd be awesome. By the way, send me your sats here. If you're enjoying this, if you think that I should be funded for making these kind of commentaries, if you think that it's unfair what's happening in the world, if you want to support an alternate means of transacting currency, I guess, as well as what is proposed to be a store of value, but that's questionable. Anyway, that's where it is. Also, there's an address that you can send sats to at the banner underneath. Send me all your sats. Not all your sats, obviously. Send me your spare change sats. But see, the thing is that the Bitcoin thing only works if it remains transactional, if it remains a circular economy, if it's actually used as a currency. Hodling is fine to some degree, but if you're not actually going to transact the thing at all, if you're just going to hodl, folks, that's a problem. Right, it won't work if you do that. Okay? Yes, hodl, but also any expenditure that you possibly can put through a network such as that, and let's face it, there are only two options, it seems, Bitcoins and shitcoins. If you don't agree with me on that, I couldn't give two rip-roaring fucks. That's what it seems to be based on my fairly deep dive over the last 3 weeks into this. And I am a quick study, and I'm not stupid, all right? But absolutely do come on and tell me how wrong I am and how stupid I am. Absolutely. Go for your lives. I don't care. Makes no fucking difference to any of the facts as they seem to be. Right. Anyways, back to the actual critiquing lame Norton.
An 18.8 millimeter increase.
Meaning what, lame? 18.8 millimeters of what? Where? No? Okay.
2.5 times more than they anticipated.
In what regard? By what metric? You've given us millimeters. Millimeters of what? Where? In what direction? How? How is that measured? What was the error of that measurement? What contributed to the error of that measurement? You didn't even read that bit, did you, lame? You just went straight to the conclusion. Because, well, you watched some videos made by some other people that didn't agree with it. So you've even admitted it yourself. I've got nothing new to say here. I'm just going to repeat stupidly and mindlessly what I've heard, because I'm lame Norton and everybody wants my opinion. No, we fucking don't, you mindless cunt. What we want you to do is fuck right off and stay fucked off without pass and go or collecting any amount of dollars or sats or anything else. Actually, just fuck off, lame Norton. Unless you want to come and front me for a debate-style discussion whereupon I will tear you to fucking pieces. You arrogant cunt. What's next?
They also looked at something called PAV, which is percent atheroma volume. Now,
according to whom, on the basis of what? What was that metric based on, and how was it measured, lame Norton? What were the flaws in that measurement technique? Exactly.
Atheroma volume increased by 0.8%, which doesn't sound like much. But these people didn't have much to begin with. They started with 1.6%, meaning in 1 year, they're
1.6% of what? According to whom? On what basis? Thank you very much, Mr. RM Guest, for your fiat. Your dirty, dirty fiat. I'll take it. Of course I will. But I'll probably turn it into crypto, because that's the future, I'm told. And I've got no reason to doubt that so far. And I'm really looking for one. I really am. You guys must know how I think by now, and you must understand that I am looking for absolutely any reason whatsoever not to take Bitcoin seriously as a potential way out for society. Of course, it relies on a few things happening. It relies on a few people showing a bit more intelligence than they are so far. But that's about really all it relies on. It also relies on people having a backbone and a spine and standing up and saying, no, not today. But that's for another day, isn't it? Because today we're dealing with lame Norton and his lack of, well, anything worthwhile, frankly.
PAV increased by 50%.
Of what? According to whom? On what basis? Which measurement technique are we talking about here, Lame, and what were the limitations of that in terms of its ability to accurately give us a gauge on the thing that it purports to give us a gauge on? All things that you clearly have absolutely no understanding of whatsoever, sunshine.
As a relative amount. PAV refers to the total plaque burden. So it's calcified and non-calcified. Their total plaque volume in 1 year with
The total plaque volume? Oh, yeah? What's the only way to get at someone's total plaque volume? Well, let's cut them open, excise it from the tissue that isn't plaque, and measure its volume. Of course, that would be problematic, wouldn't it? Because as soon as you excise tissue from the living organism as a whole, it starts to behave differently, including things like its volume changes. What was the method by which they measured this volume that you're speaking about, Lame Norton? Do you even know? I would suggest you don't.
up by 50%. They also stratified them into different categories based on their starting coronary.
Okay, so there is clearly an issue for some people in some parts of the world on my volume versus Lame Norton's volume. Okay, the volume here is perfect. It is exactly what it should be on the outputs coming from my desk going to the interwebs. So is Lame Norton's. They are both leveled absolutely 100% correctly. The fault, therefore, lies either with StreamYard, who I'm using to stream this for me, or the YouTubes, or both. Okay? There's nothing I can do about it. Everything is set absolutely 100% correctly here. Shall we move on?
Calcium score. And they found that people who had starting calcium score of 0, which is basically like their most ideal person, had,
according to whom, on the basis of what, once again?
A median increase of 0.5%. Those who had a coronary calcium score of over 100 increased by 2.4%. Okay.
Of what? On what basis? According to whom?
So the PAV went up by 2.4%. So
again, same points. According to whom, on the basis of what?
Oh, here's another way to look at this.
Here's another way to look at this, Lame Norton. You're an incompetent, ridiculous fucksplat. You're a waste of oxygen. You're a shit stain of the highest order, and you're a fucking coward who should shut the fuck up permanently. Does that cover it?
Their best subjects with the lowest progression still increased their total plaque burden by over 30%.
No, they didn't. Not at all. Rubbish. Same arguments that I've been making repeatedly. If you don't understand them still, you're in the wrong place, or you haven't been in the right place long enough. Maybe open your ears up and listen.
In a year.
By the way, those of you that don't enjoy this grumpy professor act that I put on for some of these videos from time to time, I couldn't give two fucks whether you enjoy it or not. I really couldn't. Okay, I wish you wouldn't swear so much. I wish you weren't so aggressive. Fuck right off. I don't care. I've got better things to do than listen to your whingy, whiny, pussy nonsense. All right? We're here to deal with the facts, and I couldn't give two fucks whether you like the way in which I package those unassailable facts or not. All right? Love you all, by the way. Still, nothing you can do about it. But I'm not going to change what I do to suit you. I'm going to do what I want to do when I want to do it, which is variable from time to time. I have various different personas that I adopt, because it gets pretty boring otherwise, because it's the same ridiculous fucking nonsense every fucking time, isn't it? Yes, fucksplat. Good. Right, go on, fucksplat.
And their worst increased by 150%. Now,
no, same arguments again. Absolute nonsense, once again.
How does that stack up
against? It doesn't, because all of those things are absolutely nonsensical numbers collected in an absolutely nonsensical fashion by completely incompetent buffoons who shouldn't have done so in the first place. Okay? Are we done with this? I am.
Other studies. Well,
really, really over it, frankly.
A 0.5% in their best subjects, their best possible outcome, basically is in line with what you see in progression of people who are at relatively intermediate to high risk of.
There are no studies, Lame Norton, extant anywhere on this planet that can inform any people or any group of people on their risk, individually or collectively, of any hard health outcome of any kind as that relates to anything else whatsoever still. Not one anywhere. You incompetent, ridiculous cunt stain.
Cardiovascular disease. So now
Nonsense.
we're going to go through some other cohorts and look at how does this stack up? How does LMHR plaque progression stack up against other studies? Now, again,
Well,
these
there are no studies that have used an appropriate methodology to get anywhere near this still.
have all been covered by other people. I'm going to give a shout out to Brad Stansfield because he covered this. So I don't.
Anyone that thinks Brad Stansfield is worth listening to on any matter of anything whatsoever is clearly an incompetent fucksplat. The boy is an absolute turd. He's an absolute fucking waste of skin.
Want to act like I'm coming across this for the first time. I'm just putting it on my channel. So shout out to the people who have come before me. In the paradigm.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Cohort, they were looking at people with and without metabolic syndrome. So metabolic
What is that? Another fucking construct, you mindless, ridiculous cunt.
syndrome, very metabolically unhealthy, not in a good place.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
We'd expect to see a pretty rapid plaque progression. They had a progression of 17.8 millimeters in 3.
Did we see this remotely? Can we? There it is there. What are we supposed to take from this lame Norton? Because I don't see anything remotely worth looking at here. This is just noise, 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 and fuck all in the way of signal. Any remotely competent statistician will tell you that. There is nothing to see here. Secondly, on the x-axis, we have a risk score. Well, number one, still there are no studies extant anywhere on this planet, never will be, with the capacity to inform any person or any group of people on their risk of anything in terms of hard health outcomes of any kind, at all, anywhere. So this is just nonsense, this is theology. And secondly, a score is something that you have to arbitrarily give something, isn't it? Whoops. No wonder it's just noise and no signal.
In 3.2 years.
Oh, wow, 3.2 whole years? Oh, well, that gives me a lot to look forward to in terms of my long-term... Oh, my God, for fuck's sake.
So a similar amount of progression in a third the time in LMHR. 3 times the rate of non-calcified plaque growth.
No. There are still no remotely adequate methodologies that can get at this. Still. You utterly mindless buffoon. This is an area about which you know absolutely less than dick about fuck, lame Norton. And as such, should shut your fucking stinking, arrogant shithole face. Permanently. This is not an area you know anything about. Shut the fuck up.
Times in people who are quote unquote healthy compared to people who are metabolically unhealthy.
According to whom, on the basis of what? Still.
And then if you look at the people who were metabolically healthy, who didn't have metabolic syndrome, it was...
What is that? Other than a construct. Metabolic syndrome. Oh. Dickwad.
an increase of 10 point something over 3.2 years. So about 3 millimeters per year. Oh, so against this...
3 millimeters of what? Where? In which direction? According to whom? On the basis of what measurement technique? Still. Plus or minus what, by the way? Noise around the signal. Do you even know how to work that out, lame Norton? I'd suspect you don't. Prove me wrong. Good luck, dickwad.
They increased about 5 to 6 times as much.
No, absolute fucking nonsense. Noise. Not a signal. Just noise. Noise, 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 which is all we get from dickwads like lame Norton, who thinks mass is conserved, and who thinks that the first law of thermodynamics states that mass is conserved. Well, lame, bad news for you on both fronts. No, the first law of thermodynamics does not say mass is conserved, and lame, it fucking isn't. Doesn't even have first principles under command, let alone complex abstractions like the measurement of plaque volume. Absolutely stunning that this arrogant dickwad thinks he's remotely competent to comment on this area. Only slightly more stunning than the same level of stunnedness that I am that Nick Norwich thinks he's competent, or Adrian Sotomotor, or Burhoff. Because none of them are either. Patently. What's next?
5 to 6 times as fast. Now, what about people who have diabetes and hypertension? Certainly, they progressed with plaque faster than the LMHR folks.
Well, so, and what do you think might have been the mechanisms underpinning that?
Uh-oh. So this study was co-authored by one of the co-authors of the LMHR paper, and they were looking at people with dyslipidemia,
What's that? Lame Norton? Define dyslipidemia without making it clear and patent that what you're talking about is yet another fucking construct.
Tension with and without diabetes. On average,
Again, diabetes, you say. What kind of diabetes? As defined how? By whom? On what basis?
they saw people without diabetes,
Again, same question. Again,
but who had hypertension and dyslipidemia.
according to whom, on the basis of what with the hypertension? Again.
Meaning poor blood lipids,
According to whom, on the basis of what? Still.
progressed at about 29 millimeters cubed over.
According to which metric? By what means of measurement? And then start discussing sensibly the flaws, foibles, and limitations of that methodology of measurement. We're waiting all fucking week for Lame Norton to come up with anything like that, won't we?
3-year period. So just under 10 millimeters cubed per year.
No, nonsense. Just absolute fucking nonsense, Lame Norton. Just because you report some numbers in a journal doesn't mean that those numbers are valid, accurate, have any veracity or any prognostic value of any kind, and definitely not if you're not going to discuss the noise around that signal, i.e. plus or minus what? Dickhead.
LMHR folks
Still don't exist.
without dyslipidemia, without hypertension, progressed almost twice as fast.
No. Those people that were a part of that study had a result that was measured by a methodology, good, bad, or indifferent, reported on excessively poorly by its authors, and it proved, established, and even supported any potential hypothesis one way or the other on anything in no way whatever. It was a complete waste of time, effort, and money. It was ultimately damaging to our community because of the incompetence with which it was done by those boys that did it. It was unforgivable that these arrogant turds thought themselves remotely in a position to do such work and to be competent to report on that in a way that would be helpful to the community in any way, shape, or form. Stunning.
Those with type 2 diabetes, plus all this other stuff, I mean, like the most metabolically unhealthy people you can think of.
According to whom? On the basis of what?
Progressed like 52 millimeters over 3.
Plus or minus what? According to which measurement technique? Shut up, dog, for fuck's sake. I suppose you're more intelligent to listen to than this cunt here, but nonetheless, your input is not required right now. Shush.
Years, which you divided out just over 17 millimeters cubed per year.
Nonsense.
They've still beat them by a
Nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense, you mindless cunt.
little bit. These are metabolically healthy people.
According to whom, on the basis of what?
Other than LDL and ApoB, which are sky high.
So what? And who's to say that's not healthy? Not you, Lame Norton, because you're not a cardiovascular pathophysiologist at all.
Now, let's look at another high-risk cohort study.
No, there are no studies that can inform on risk in any way, shape, or form of any heart health outcome of any kind in human beings whatsoever. Still, Lame Norton, not one anywhere. Still. This one included.
Those are people with multiple risk factors like obesity.
No, there are no risk factors. No, there are associates that we can look at, but not risk factors. Risk has a set meaning. It absolutely demands a mechanism that's established, predictable and repeatable. Do you have any studies that show that? Experimental studies? No? Fuck right off then.
Smoking,
Seriously, lame. Fuck right off.
dyslipidemia, metabolic syndrome, hypertension. They saw an average progression of about 6.4 millimeters
Plus or minus what?
per year.
Plus or minus what? According to whom, on the basis of what measurement technique? Still.
HR was 3 times as fast.
No, it wasn't. All you've got is some numbers reported by some incompetent little boys. What you don't have is any form of experimental evidence for anything whatsoever, still.
I could go on and on comparing this to other cohorts. I think it's very, very obvious that the people...
Yeah, but lame, there's a couple of problems with what you're going to say next, because you've just said, I think. You don't think, lame Norton. You are incapable of independent or critical thought. You are a buffoon. You are a mindless cunt. You are not remotely qualified to hold the title PhD. You are not remotely anywhere near the level of someone's intellect who would be expected to hold a PhD. You're dumber than Mike Israel, and that's fucking saying something. Okay? You're as arrogant as fuck, which is no surprise. And you're not even a decent human being, as I've already covered. You're a piece of shit, lame Norton, from top to bottom. You are a pile of excrement who should fuck right off. What's next?
People in the LMHR study had rapid plaque progression of not...
No, they didn't. There's nothing to establish that whatsoever. Nothing at all. There's some numbers reported in a paper that were badly collected using a very questionable technique by some incompetent boys in a completely ridiculously delimited population with no meaning to anybody else whatsoever. No extrapolability at all. Complete waste of time still.
Uncalcified plaque and total plaque. Now, they tried to get around this, kind of burying this data, not directly addressing it, and then, trying to do some correlation.
You've got no idea what they were trying to do, lame Norton. You don't even comprehend what they were trying to do. Because while these boys who did this work are woefully destitute of competence and completely out of their depth, they are still 10 times better than you are on any aspect of science. You've got no place and no business whatever commenting on science, boy. None.
Between ApoB levels, LDL cholesterol, and plaque progression. Let's explain that real quick. If you are going to do an association study, a proper association study, you need a proper dosage, meaning you need a varying dosage. All of these people had high LDL and high ApoB.
According to whom, on the basis of what? Measured how? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't fucking measured at all.
There was no low LDL group, no low ApoB group. A comparison might be, we looked at people who smoked 15 cigarettes a day.
Smoking has nothing whatsoever to do with anything related to this topic whatsoever. It's a completely inept analogy for anything. Before you go any further, lame Norton, you really are a ridiculous shithole, aren't you?
Day versus people who smoke 30 cigarettes a day, and we didn't really see any difference in the progression of lung cancer and the rate of progression of lung cancer. Yeah, because it's already so much that you've maxed it out. It doesn't matter. Like, literally, this trial.
Anyone that says literally, what they're telling you is they actually, A, don't have command even of basic English, B, don't even know what's going to come out of their mouth next. They're just filling in a space, desperately waiting for their brain to catch up. And C, you might as well just tattoo "I'm an arrogant cunt" across my forehead.
Trial shows more plaque progression than...
No, it doesn't. There's nothing that shows progression of plaque in any way, shape or form. There are only measurements, proxy measurements, produced by very questionable techniques to produce these proxies. And you, lame Norton, are not even competent to discuss the meaning of those mean values with respect to how they relate to the noise around those signals, because you are utterly scientifically incompetent. Still.
trials
Remember, you think mass is conserved and that the first law of thermodynamics says so. Wrong on both counts. Boy.
Of people.
Go back to fucking school. If you want to call yourself Dr. Lame Norton, that's fine with me. I don't give two fucks. If you want to suggest you've got a PhD because some institute whacked you with one, that's fine. I don't give two fucks. But if you actually want to be taken seriously by anyone that actually does have any credibility, go and get an actual PhD, boy. And a dissertation on rats won't do it. You need a thesis on human beings if you want to call yourself an expert in human nutrition. All right? Have you got one of those? No? All right, fuck right off then.
Who are very metabolically unhealthy.
Or even if you have no qualifications, I couldn't give two fucks about that either, Lame Norton, so long as what you have to say is correct. Perhaps you could start with understanding that mass is not conserved and the first law of thermodynamics does not suggest that it is. Then you could get to an understanding of your own destitution of comprehension of the actual epistemology of science, its edicts, its flaws, its foibles, what it can and can't inform on, and get a realistic idea of your place in the hierarchy of those that understand this epistemological process. No? Too much to ask, I know.
It's very basic stuff. And
very basic stuff, says the boy who can't understand that mass is not conserved. And who doesn't know what the first law of thermodynamics even says. My God.
Again, just the fact that their primary outcome in the pre-registered trial wasn't even directly addressed in the...
Of course it wasn't. Because the boys that did this ridiculous piece of shit anti-scientific claptrap study were not competent to do so. The so-called competent author, the senior author, who could have pulled them up on all of this stuff and said, hey boys, you need to get this right before you go to press with this, should have actually fucking read it. And based on comments he made in an interview after its publication, it was clear and patent and inescapable a fact that he had not even fucking read it.
Paper, that should send everybody's radar right up. What am I saying take-home wise? It is very clear that LDL and ApoB are independent risk factors for cardiovascular disease.
False. That's your opinion, Lame Norton. Well, it's a mindless opinion that you are repeating without any ability to actually critically evaluate it for yourself because you are utterly destitute of competence in this field of endeavour. Utterly. And it's wrong. It's false. There are no established risk factors for heart disease. There are only hypotheses, some of which are good and withstand refutation to a reasonable degree, and others which don't. And your ridiculous hypothesis that you've just outlined there does not stand up to even the most basic cursory refutation by someone competent to talk to you about cardiovascular pathophysiology, which, by the way, Lame Norton, I am, absolutely. And I think you know that. That's why you won't front up for what we can even have a polite discussion if you like, Lame. If you don't like being called a cunt, I won't. To your face, anyway. If you want me to be professional and put on a tie for the discussion, I'll do that too if you'd like. Nonetheless, I will tear you 7 new assholes, you arrogant, ignorant, destitute little boy. Any fucking day of the week.
Disease. If you are in this phenotype where all your other blood
It's still not a phenotype. It's still a theory put together by a software engineer. Fuck's sake.
markers are healthy, but your LDL
According to whom, still, on the basis of what, still.
and ApoB are high, are you healthier and at lower risk for cardiovascular disease?
There are no studies available anywhere on the planet that can inform us on either of those facets of anything. Still.
Than somebody who has high LDL and also high triglycerides, low HDL, poor insulin sensitivity. Yes.
All constructs, many of them not even measured clinically, none of them with any capacity to inform whatsoever on anyone's prognostic outlook of anything under any circumstances. Still, you ignorant fucking imbecile.
Yes, you're better off than them, but you are not.
Speculation.
Not better off
Speculation.
than somebody with low LDL
Absolute fucking nonsense, you mindless cunt. Absolute nonsense.
and also other healthy blood markers.
According to whom, still, on the basis of what, still.
And in one of these trials, the last one with multiple risk factors,
No, there are no studies with any risk factors, still.
that they on average progress 6 millimeters
Of what? In which direction? According to whom? By what measurement technique?
cubed per year. They found that people on statins only progressed 1 millimeter per year. I know everybody loves to
No, they didn't. They made some measurements using a technique that's very, very questionable, with massive noise around it. Meaningless, lame Norton.
dog on statins. But again, if you lower LDL cholesterol,
There we go. Yeah,
if you lower ApoB,
yeah.
you get less damage to the endothelium and you get
Nonsense. Absolute fucking nonsense. Not true at all. Complete fucking garbage, you mindless cunt.
less accumulation of the cholesterol and lipids
So, who's to say that's a good thing?
in the intima.
Who's to say that's a good thing? Why do you think they're there, lame Norton? When they go in there, why do you think that happens?
Just because your lean mass hyperresponder
No, you're not, because that doesn't exist still.
does not mean that you are safe from progression of cardiovascular disease.
And anyone with any brains would never have said to you that you are. Nobody is safe from any disease. However, there are things that you can do based on an actual sensible assessment of the inferences that are available to us to minimize those things which clearly patently are part of the etiology in a contributory fashion, and neither of LDL nor ApoB fit into that category, demonstrably, absolutely, and unassailably lame Norton. That can be the topic of our debate, if you like. Prove me wrong. You can't.
You need to try to get your LDL cholesterol under control.
It is under control. Your genes have got it under control. That's what they do, you dickwad.
Unfortunately, the authors of this paper are using this to try to push their narrative that LDL doesn't really matter in this population.
Or in any other fucking population. Because it is not part of the etiological cascade leading to the development of atherosclerosis still. Demonstrably, unequivocally, unassailably, and patently. Come and prove me wrong, lame Norton. I dare you.
Some of them have even tried to say that it doesn't matter at all in any population.
There you go. Those are the people that understand the thing. Unlike yourself, lame Norton. Because remember, you can't even understand what the first law of thermodynamics says, or even what it says. You don't even know what it says. You think it says mass is conserved, remember? Dickwad?
And that is very, very dangerous rhetoric.
No, it isn't, lame Norton. What's very, very dangerous is you presenting yourself as remotely competent to profess to the public in any way, shape or form about science, the etiology of science, the findings of any science paper, what the laws of thermodynamics are, what the laws of basic physics are. That's what's dangerous. You, dickhead, presenting yourself as being remotely competent to profess to the public on any of those things. That's what's dangerous, son. What's next?
I am just all for transparency. I'm grateful.
Are you? Are you really? Oh, yeah. Okay.
That the scientists who did videos and breakdowns before me brought this stuff up. It is not.
So you didn't actually even think of any of this stuff yourself. You're just mindlessly repeating mindless shit that you heard from other incompetent dickheads, other fucksplats, other arrogant ignoramus, and just repeating what you've heard. Just like you did when you said the first law of thermodynamics indicates that mass is conserved. Remember when you did that? Because it doesn't. And it isn't. Still.
Not cool to hide primary outcome data.
Nobody said it is cool. It isn't cool to do that. They shouldn't have done that. Neither should they have been so arrogant, those boys, to believe themselves remotely competent to even attempt to contribute something in this area. They made mistake after mistake after mistake. It was disgraceful, and I fully endorse any commentary around these boys being a real fucking problem. They should all fuck right off. They should all remove themselves from social media influence and from any attempt to do science, Dave Feldman. It's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. What's next?
Because it doesn't fit with your bias. If I can go back...
Oh, right. You don't have any bias then, do you not, Lame Norton?
To my great mentor, Dr. Lehman, when I had a study where the data did not fit my hypothesis, I kept trying to shoehorn it in terms of like rerunning stuff and trying to figure it out. And finally he said, it sounds like you're trying to get the data to fit your conclusion. And what you need to do is change your conclusion to fit the data.
That's right. And if you have no data on cause nor effect, which nobody does here, then your conclusions about cause and effect, ergo risk, hazard, or any prognostic statement of any kind whatsoever need to not be made at all. Because the data does not fucking exist to underpin any such claims of any kind as it relates to any hard health outcome in human beings over any period of time, as that relates to any aspect of the lipids, or the diet, or the pharmacological interventions to any of those things. There is no data upon which to draw conclusions of a cause and effect nature. It does not exist still. Are we done? Yes, we are.
Hyper responders.
All right,
don't have to
piss
worry
off
about
now, Lame Norton. There we go. All right. Well, that was fun, wasn't it, kids? I hope you enjoyed it. Those of you that didn't enjoy the presentation style of this particular video, try another one. I'm not always presenting myself quite as vehemently as I have been doing in this video. Mostly I'm just trying to shake some of you who are passive from a position of fence sitting to one way or the other. Either get on board with me and understand that if you want the science, trust me, I'm safe and effective. I'm the science me, and don't question the science. Even though that's how you do science, by the way. Tee-hee. All right? And stop giving your attention to these fucking idiots. These incompetent little boys and little girls who have absolutely no business whatever talking about this area in any way, shape or form. People that just like the sound of their own voice. Okay? That's it. That is your sermon for today. Go forth, be fruitful, be good to each other. Don't listen to idiots. See you next time. But in the meantime, let's sing the song just because that's the rules, really. Steak and eggs and eggs and steak. That's what you should have for your breakfast. Delicious. Eggs and steak and steak and eggs. Just making sure you heard. I think they got it, Ted. Join me next time when someone else will be wrong on the interwebs, because it doesn't look like slowing down anytime soon, does it? Thanks, Ted. Press the button. Anytime you're ready.